So what is sales, really? I'm an electronics engineer. I worked on radar, missile guidance systems, circuits, components, mathematical precision. I don't see myself as a salesperson. Actually, let me be more honest. I actively avoided sales. I thought sales was beneath me, too pushy, too manipulative, not really what engineers did. And then I made a decision that changed everything. I took a job with Xerox. 2 years in sales, learning something I thought I'd never need. And I discovered something that would shape the next 40 years of my career. Something that most CEOs still don't understand. What is sales, really? So let me start by painting a picture of who I was, an electronics engineer, radar, missile guidance systems. I understood circuits, wiring, electronics. And if you get the maths right, the system works. And if you got it wrong, it didn't. Clean, logical, objective. I loved that about engineering. There was a right answer. You could prove something. You didn't have to convince anyone or persuade anyone. The maths either worked or it didn't. And then I built my technical skills to a certain level and realised something uncomfortable. I needed to understand business. And business, apparently, required sales. I wasn't happy about this realisation because here's what I thought sales was. Convincing people to buy things they don't need. Using persuasion techniques and manipulation tactics. Being pushy, aggressive and always closing. Talking more than listening. Performing, pretending, wearing a mask. And I'm guessing some of you feel the same way. Especially if you're from a technical background. Especially if you're an expert in your field. Especially if you spent years building real skills and real knowledge. Sales feels less than like you're lowering yourself. So when I took that job as Xerox, I went in with resistance. I'll learn what I need to learn, I thought, but I'm not becoming one of those salespeople. And then, week by week, something shifted. Xerox didn't teach me closing techniques. They didn't give me scripts or manipulation tactics. They taught me something completely different. They taught me that sales is about understanding what people actually need. Now, what you want, not what you want to sell them, what they need. They taught me that sales is about listening more than talking, about asking better questions, about being genuinely curious. They taught me that sales is about helping people solve problems, real problems, problems they care about. And slowly I started to see something. I started to realise the people who were best at sales weren't the loudest. They weren't the pushiest. They weren't the ones with the best closing lines. The best salespeople were the ones who built the strongest relationships. They built understanding. They knew their clients. They actually knew them, understood their businesses, their challenges, their goals. They stayed in touch, not just when they wanted to sell something, but consistently, genuinely. So they were able to add value beyond mere transactions. They connected people. They shared insights. They become trusted advisors. And here's what hit me like a lightning bolt. It's exactly what engineers do. So wait, hear me out. When you're designing a circuit, you have to understand the problem that you're solving. What does this system need to do? What are the constraints? What are the requirements? You have to listen to these requirements from your team, from your boss, from your clients. You can't force your preferred solution onto a problem that needs something else. You have to build the connections that work, literally. These are components that have to work together, actually. Electricity flows or it doesn't. You have to solve real problems. The circuit either works or it doesn't. There's no faking it. Sales is the same thing. Sales is understanding what someone needs. Sales is connecting the right solution to the right problem. Sales is building relationships where value flows in both directions. That's when I had my epiphany. Sales is relationship building based on authenticity. That's it. That's the whole thing. Strip away everything else, all the techniques, all the tactics, all the performance, and that's what remains. Sales is relationships. Relationships are sales. Now, most business books will tell you sales is about prospecting, lead generation, qualifying, presenting, handling objections, closing. And sure, those are activities you might do. That's not really what sales is. They are the mechanical steps that you might involve. The surface actions. Asking what is sales and answering prospecting and closing is like asking what is engineering and answering soldering and testing. Those are the things that you do. That's actually not what it is. Here's how I know sales is really about relationships. Think about the last significant purchase you made in your business. Something expensive, something important. How did you find that vendor? How did they behave? I bet you didn't respond to a cold email. You didn't click on an ad. You didn't fill out a contact form on a website. You most probably asked someone you trust. You got a referral. You reached out to someone you already knew. You were introduced by a mutual connection. You bought based on your relationship, either on your relationship with the vendor or your relationship with the person who referred you. That's how real business works. Now think about your own business. Your best clients, the ones who pay you the most, stay the longest, and refer others. How did they find you? Through relationships. The clients who come from cold outreach, well, they haggle on price, they're suspicious, they leave quickly, they're high maintenance. The clients who come from relationships, well, they trust you from day one in many cases. They value your work, they stay, and they even refer others. So if the best clients come from relationships and the worst clients come from everything else, what is sales, really? So let's talk about the implications of this. I mean, the realization changed everything for me. And for 20 years, I ran the same company. No institutional funding. We traded millions. I made plenty of mistakes. But I never had a sales problem. Not ever. Not because I was great at closing. Not because I had amazing marketing. I mean, we even had higher prices. And not because we had clever sales tactics. It's because we built relationships systematically. It was process driven, but it was still genuine. I spoke to clients, I spoke at events, I organised publicity, I worked with trade bodies. In some cases I became the chair. I spent more time outside my business than inside it, deliberately. Not networking in the shallow sense, collecting business cards and hoping something happens, but building actual relationships with clients, with partners, with industry leaders, with people who could open doors. And here's what most CEOs miss. They think sales is something their sales team does. They think business development is a department. They think relationships are nice to have, but what really matters is their product, their process, their efficiency. And that's just wrong-headed. Remember the financial services CEO from my earlier video? While his market was growing at 15% annually, his business was flat. What was he doing? Restructuring, optimizing, managing what he thought needed to be done. But what wasn't he doing? Building relationships. He stopped doing the work that actually generated sales, new business. He delegated it. He stood back from it. And slowly, invisibly, his business died and he got the job. Because sales is relationships, and relationships can't be delegated. You can delegate execution, you can outsource delivery, you can hire people to do admin. You can't delegate the relationships that power your business. It's a practical reality. Now, I know what some will be thinking, but I'm not good at relationships. I'm technical. I'm introverted. I'm not a natural salesperson. Well, good news. There's no real such thing as a natural salesperson. There are people who've practiced relationship building, that's all. You know how to build relationships in your personal life, with your family, with your friends, with people you care about. You listen to them. You remember what matters to them. You show up when they need you. You add value to their lives without keeping tabs or score. Business relationships are exactly the same, just in a different context. The reason sales feels hard or uncomfortable is because you're thinking about it wrong. You're thinking about how do I get them to buy from me? Instead think, how do I add value to their business? How do I help them solve their problems? How do I become someone they're glad to know? Someone useful, a resource. Now do that consistently and sales take care of themselves, because sales is relationships. And relationships built authentically create trust, and trust creates transaction. That's the circuit. That's how electricity flows. So here's the third question, the next question you need to answer. What is sales, really? Not what your sales textbook says, not what your CRM system tracks, not what your sales process documents. What is it actually, fundamentally, at its core? And if your answer is anything other than relationship building based on authenticity, your wiring's wrong. You're trying to generate revenue without building the relationships that create revenue. You're managing the mechanics while missing the actual source of power. In the next video, I'm going to show you exactly how to build these relationships systematically, not networking tips, not social tactics, an engineering system for relationship building, the same system I used for 20 years. But first, you need to accept this truth. Sales is relationships. Everything else is just execution. See you in the next video.